called it becoming instead of became or I made it or some other such thing. The fact is we are always becoming. We are always learning to express our souls in deeper, more authentic ways. We're always yearning to maybe do something, be some way that maybe we haven't done before. There's always kind of an open field of expression for us. We're never done. For some of us, this becoming looks like a big dream. Maybe you're going to start a new business. Who knows? But for others of us, it might not be so much an outer change, but it might be showing up as you need to show up and maybe you haven't had the courage before. It might be saying something, being a certain way that is different from the habits you've accumulated. It's the same thing. It's doing what you came here to do, being who you came here to be. And there's always a little bit more we can do around that. Last week I told you a parable about a nobody named Ordinary who had a big dream and becoming a somebody as he achieved it. Part of that parable was that once Ordinary embarked on pursuing his big dream and got to the edge of the comfort zone of the land of the familiar, he saw a wall of fear. And you don't have to have been here last week to kind of get that story, am I right? Something maybe a lot of us have experienced. And he struggled. Ordinary struggled with this deep fear. So today, we're going to look at how we handle fear when we're pursuing our big dream or just doing something we've never done before. How do we handle the fear, the discomfort, the we kind of get in our gut when we're doing something we've never been before, and that even could be something as simple as walking into a new church for the first time. That's not always easy, right? Often when we put ourselves out there in any way, when we're willing to be vulnerable, that's not comfortable for us, is it? But we can do it. We can walk past it and be who we came here to be. We can get the support that we need, that we came here to get. And then we all shine our lights a little brighter and the bulb doesn't need to be replaced, right? We're the bulb. So this becoming that we're doing, it never stops. And this becoming is nothing less than your soul's desire to thrive. It is the soul's longing, your soul's longing, each one of us has this, to do what it came here to do through you. You are the vehicle for this expression of God in the unique way that you can do this, that you came here to do. This desire to thrive is also called the prosperity imperative. Prosperity meaning, according to the teacher Yogacharya Ellen Grace O'Brien, who was the writer of our reading this morning, this prosperity is radiant aliveness, complete well-being, love, peace, wisdom, and joy. That's what prosperity means. It has nothing to do with outside of you. But the truth is, when you live from your soul, you're naturally attracting whatever you need to support you in doing it. Because this is a God job. How could God not support you? So these qualities of radiant aliveness, complete well-being, love and peace, wisdom and joy, as we get in touch with them that are already in you, you don't have to go anywhere to get it. These qualities then spill over into meaningful, inspired work, loving relationships, and a healthy, balanced lifestyle. It's living as you were created to live. And this is life's, capital L, prosperity imperative. This desire to thrive that each one of us has. So the question is, when we get these soul yearnings to thrive, to be who we came here to be, and then fear strikes, because that's what happens when we're doing something we've never done before. The question is, are we freaking out or are we finding faith? Right, so today we get to talk about how to get around that. At every moment, we have a choice of how we respond to life. And when fear strikes, it often doesn't feel like we have a choice. But the truth is, between any thought coming up and our deciding whether we go with it or not, there is a magic interval where we have a choice. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but we do have it. So every moment we have a choice. How are we responding to life? But when fear grips us, sometimes we automatically freak out. And maybe we even run the other direction as fast as we can. And then we don't do the thing that we came here to do. We don't say the thing or do the thing that is ours to do in that moment. So it might have to do with how we look at fear. And there's actually 3 types of fear. Surprisingly enough, 2 of these types are actually quite helpful, and 1 is not. You'll soon determine which is which. So the first kind of fear is innate to us. It's genetic. And so we stay alert and we're aware of our environment. It's there so we can kick it into gear when we see a saber-toothed tiger hiding in the bushes. Right? You saw one of them? This is called primal fear. It's like when you're going south on I-25, 80 miles an hour, following a truck with a boat being trailered, and somehow the boat's hitch comes undone. The boat becomes airborne, and it does a somersault in the air, and has its nose heading straight for your windshield. A friend of mine told me this story that happened to her. You need this fear. Primal fear keeps you alert and ready to spring into action. You can make the maneuvers you need to make to get away from that boat. You want this kind of fear. That's the first kind. The second kind often has the same feeling as primal fear. That flutter and the gripping in the body, if you've ever experienced it. But it's not because of a current threat. It's because you have projected into the future. And rather than causing you to be alert and ready, it actually has the opposite effect. It's more like deer in the headlights syndrome. You're frozen, you're paralyzed. This is freak out fear. And it's not helpful. We could call it fear as a projected thought. So I'm going to invite you now to close your eyes and pretend you're asleep. And if you're already asleep, you're right in line with what you're supposed to be doing. But you would have heard that if you were asleep. So imagine you begin to dream. And in the dream, you are being chased by a ferocious grizzly bear. Even though you are running at top speed, he's gaining on you quickly. Suddenly, you fall and you hurt your leg. You struggle to get up, but you can't. And the bear is now practically on top of you. To make matters worse, A den of lions has heard the ruckus and is now coming at you from the other direction. And above you circles a flock of hungry vultures. What are you going to do to save yourself?
Wake up.
You got it. You're way ahead of me. Yes, that's what you're going to do. You are going to wake up. You can open your eyes now if they're still closed. It's really pretty simple. That's how you save yourself, is to wake up. The fear isn't real, is it? Neither is the fear of projected thought. It's the same as a dream. It's fear as our emotional guidance system. So it's not a real helpful kind of fear, but it can help us wake up. The message is this, that this kind of fear gives us. My thinking is off. I'm not aligned with spiritual truth. I'm not aligned with my heart's deepest desire. Those desires that are implanted there by the divine. The message is, I've forgotten who I am. And this kind of fear gives us information. It's a signal so that we can make a choice to adjust. And it's in facing this fear straight on and seeing what it has to offer us that we get the benefit. But we have to be willing to face it. I'm going to share with you another bear story, but this one is true. It's not a dream. And it comes from the book Thriving Through Uncertainty by Tama Kieves. So many years ago, Tama, she went hiking with her long-haired, poetic boyfriend, her words, and she was deeply in love. They went somewhere in the wilds of Oregon. They scampered along the trail for hours in the cool green forest. Then they practically fell to their knees and burst into song upon seeing the Pacific Ocean at the end of the trail. She says this is what happens when you live in landlocked Colorado. At the first sight of the body of water, you act like puppies. We can probably relate to this, right? So giddy as they were, they ignored the time. And the sun gradually evaporated from the sky. This wasn't a good thing. It was a time of year that turned very cold once the sun had set. And just like that, they realized they were in danger. They hadn't intended to hike as far as they had. They were both dressed in shorts and t-shirts. They had no camping supplies, jackets, pants, or chocolate. Tama didn't see how they were going to survive. The moment they saw the draining sun, they started hightailing it on the trail back to the car. The light continued to grow dimmer, and they walked faster. Tama's an attorney, and her lawyer brain kicked in, and she started seeing possible dangers everywhere, which isn't very helpful when your heart is already pounding so fast and you just know the vultures are taking dibs on your body and choosing a wine. Then halfway out of the forest, they heard an unusual knocking noise. A flock of birds squawked and fluttered away. Something didn't feel right. Something did not feel right at all. The creepy, unsettling knocking noise continued. Maybe it's a moose, said her boyfriend, Kier, eagerly looking around. He was excited. He thinks wildlife's a really good thing in the woods. So he stopped and he dawdled. But type A personality Tama power walked ahead, and she peered into the trees, and she saw darkness behind the trees, almost a blackness. Then in the hideous slow motion of terror, she realized that the darkness was not some nice woodsy darkness. It was the shape of a bear peering at her. So scared to death, thinking that she is a slice of pizza for this bear, Tama instinctively began to walk backward on the trail, cautiously, like a cartoon character. Then she ran further back until she was at a distance where she could imagine maybe breathing again. Kier followed her, wondering what was going on. It's a bear, she said to him, terror and adrenaline lighting up her senses. Then they realized the predicament they were in. they had to walk past the bear to get out of the woods. If they wanted to be free, they had to walk in the direction of their fears. They risked being mauled to death, but they had the chance at life. Their other choice was to walk back into the woods, which would most likely mean a slow death of hypothermia overnight in freezing temperatures. So because she is telling the story, that they made it out alive, they walked past the bear, and they stepped into a richer life than they had known, just because they had the experience. And there's a powerful metaphor in this story, I'm thinking you're hearing, and maybe it won't be lost on you either. At the time she was in her life, what she calls a soul-sucking job that was numbing and annihilating her heart every minute. When what she really wanted to do was to be a writer. But her soul-sucking job offered her the comfort of a steady paycheck and validation because she was very good at her job. But she knew it was slowly killing her. So her choice in her life was to stay safe in the soul-sucking job that offered the paycheck, or to find real safety. Real safety in life is doing what your soul intended you to do. That's real safety. You're living from your connection to spirit. You are not living separate. You know who and whose you are. And when we get that soul call to do something that we haven't before, it's natural for us to feel fear. Maybe we don't know how to begin. Or we don't trust our ability to succeed. We wonder if we have what it takes. And we don't know if we're going to make it out alive. It feels like that. But this call of becoming, it's your soul. The divine in you. You can't not be supported in that. That's real safety. Your deep dream, being who you are, comes with a full support package. Divine support from all that is, and grace. And you can begin to thrive right now, in this moment, sitting in the seat right where you are. This isn't something you have to wait to do. It comes from listening to your soul, from being willing to be in touch with all that you are. And everything in your life right now is supporting that. Every person you meet, every idea you have, everything you read is supporting you when you are willing, when you surrender to all that is within you and around you and through you. Ellen Grace O'Brien, in her book Jewel of Abundance, wrote, "The conditions in our life right now are exactly what we need to help us wake up, grow up, and show up, to learn to live with higher purpose and develop the skillful means to do that. Everything in your life right now is there for you." So everything in our life is perfectly arranged to support us in thriving, to learn whatever it is we need to learn, to get clear about our purpose for being here, to grow in our faith, and maybe in this process, which I think is the real gold, discover more deeply than ever before your relationship to the divine. That is the way we find faith instead of freaking out when fear hits. We notice we've forgotten. We've forgotten. That's all it is, forgetting. And once we realize we've forgotten, we are now remembering. We are remembering there is one presence and one power and one source of all that is. We are remembering the one power, one presence, one source is as near to you as your hands and feet, as close as your breath. It is now, was before, and always will be there. The Course in Miracles says, God has not changed his mind about you. You are his beloved child in whom he is well pleased. The problem is that we change our minds about God, or whatever you call this infinite kind, spacious undercurrent that is in your life. We turn away, but Source never does. Whatever is going on in our lives, we can still decide to turn to the one source, the one presence, the one power, the very life of our life. Some of us have believed that if there's this loving, infinite intelligence, then everything should always go our way. And I know that if you have been here for more than 20 minutes or, looked back at your life for more than that time, that's really not true. But in every challenge that we face, every bear in the woods, it's our opportunity to remember this one power, one presence that is the source of all good. That's how we turn from freaking out to finding faith. It's not all up to us. We are not alone. We are always divinely supported. You may lose something you want, but you can never lose the source of all good. An infinite grace resides within you. Maybe you lost a job. You haven't lost the intelligence, persistence, or other abilities that got you the job in the first place. Or if you've lost a loved one, you can never lose the light that you experienced with that person, or the qualities in you that helped to create the beauty in that relationship. It's never gone. So when we are in fear, we have the opportunity to discover that we are more than we think we are. So is there a place in you where you have allowed a disappointment or crisis to become your identity? Is there something that is blocking your awareness of other possibilities or resources? Most of us are familiar with the Psalm, "Be still and know that I am God." The Psalms were songs. They were what the people sang at the time, and they were originally written in the Hebrew. The more direct translation of "be still" from the Hebrew is "let go." Let go and know that I am God. Let go and know. Let go. Let go. I'm not saying this is easy, but if you break a lamp in your house, you still have the electricity, don't you? You can still plug back in. The light is not in any one job or one person or one situation. It's in you. And in your connection to a greater intelligence. Last week we had kind of an informal meeting, and I shared with you some but our finances weren't quite what we'd like them to be. And then I was reminded of all that's happened in this community. And so I didn't get it out yet, but I will. There is a photo album here that will show you what this community has done. We came, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago from a cafeteria down at Chaparral Elementary, and this was an abandoned karate studio, holes in the wall, and many of you have heard this story. And we have a photo album of the work that we did in creating this space. And at that time, our attendance had dropped to about 20 people. And in that photo album, you are going to see pictures of Chris and Paul Jacobo, who are still here and were doing just power work. And then Chris went on, I just want you to know, to take training to bring the prayer chaplain program here. So when I need prayer, I go to Chris. And Victor, and Kathleen. But she holds the light. You'll see Tom Munson and Rod Wickman, who were building this stage. There was nothing here. Kathleen Harvey was at work, and Sherry Ann brought us food, and Carl was here with his kids. Never underestimate what we can do. And I'm going to tell you, when you get fear in your life, when you get freak out, look back at what you have done. I know you're going to find something that you have done, that you got through before, and there's no reason you're not going to do it again, because God is still here with you. God didn't leave you. So someone once said, in fearful times, we are walking into the grand unknown. It's scary because anything can happen. It's wonderful because finally anything can happen. So I'm ready for anything to happen. Are you? Yes? Yeah. The band.